The artist Sonia Boyce has been chosen to represent Great Britain at the Venice Biennale.
Diamonds are forever.
I was there when she got the phone call from the British Council.
And I was not expecting it in any shape or form, you know. I think my first response was, why? You know, I couldn't understand why my name was even on the list.
And then she said that she's in Venice. And to me, I wasn't quite sure how big that was. But my dad was like, oh my God, Maya, go to a shop, get some champagne.
Venice Biennale is kind of the Olympics. It's the world coming together and trying to put together what they see as the vanguard of its time. And for Sonia to be part of that narrative is really, really important.
Commentators have remarked on the fact that Sonia is the first black woman artist to represent Britain in the 120-odd years of its history, which is incredibly significant because the British Pavilion is a showcase for British nationhood and how Britain wants to represent itself on the world stage.
Sonia is still best known for her large-scale drawings from the 1980s.
You know, how can you see this person who is obviously black? Can she be seen to be English? The whole idea of otherness is very difficult for me to grapple with because I don't see myself as other. I see myself as integral to this historical process, art history.
But for over 30 years, Sonia Boyce has been exploring a very different kind of art. Disruptive, provocative, playful, uncompromising. And in Venice, she'll be revealing a project that continues her career-long exploration of overlooked female voices, based on a vast archive of black British women in the music industry.
It's not that often that someone gives you this opportunity to say, well, what do you feel like doing? Ask me on the day when it opens, when I'll be feeling really sick and like, oh my God, why did I think I could do this? But, you know, as a proposition, as a conceit, yeah, why not?
It's June 2021. Sonia's invited 3 singers to meet at Abbey Road Studios. Jackie Dankworth, the daughter of British jazz legend Cleo Lane, pop star Tanita Tikaram, who rose to fame in the 80s, and Poppy Ajuda, an emerging young soul singer.
Literally, when I came through the red doors and saw this place, I just thought, oh, we've got to do this. I am, you know, I have to keep every 30 seconds saying to myself, calm down, calm down. I am so excited. I think it's going to be beautiful. We've got Poppy, we've got Tanita, we've got Jackie, and we've got Erilyn.
Sonia invited composer Erilyn Wallen to help guide the session. The singers have been asked to improvise, and whatever is captured will become the centerpiece of the Venice Biennale Pavilion.
You know, I know that that's really scary, to just say, well, actually, I'm not going to direct you. And I think they were really very nervous about, well, what does that mean? And I said, well, I don't know what that means. You know, I'm just really happy that you're prepared to come and walk through the door and be here, and something will happen.
So imagine you're lions.
We are lions.
You are lions, I know. But a sound that is a sound you wouldn't normally make singing. That's a good growl.
All of us are a bit nervous of the filming and doing something that we don't usually do. It just makes you feel like a child. At one point I just think, I don't care, I just want to have fun, even if I look a bit like a plonker.
They were making quite extraordinary sounds that didn't have to be subscribed by being feminine. And for me, there's a moment of something, of liberation in that moment.
I'm just going to give you 3 words, and these can be sung in very definite rhythms, and the words are, I am queen.
I am queen.
I am queen.
I am queen.
I am queen. I am queen.
I think everybody in the room, their skin became really prickly. There was something that kind of generated by each of them saying, I am queen, and then it gets really competitive.
I am queen. I am queen.
It just gets really funny and complicated at the same time.
I am queen. I am queen.
That's just brilliant.
Sonia's inspiration came from Dada performance art and from jazz scat.
I am really interested in particularly the relationship between jazz scat and Dada because they emerged at the same time in terms of the early 20th century.
That's right.
And they speak to each other, and they speak to each other in the same language, I think. This is kind of part of the birth of modernity.
They sparkle, they bubble, gonna get you in a whole lot of trouble. There's the ankle, they're getting your rubber working there.
I think of you, I think of Dada, I think of surrealism, I think of the tales of the unexpected, I was going to say. That's what's going on here, isn't it?
Particularly as adults, we're kind of discouraged from playing. I don't know why that happens, because actually it's in play that you know where the edges of things are, but also that you might tip over that edge or that boundary of what you're supposed to do and find another territory.
You're saying what Picasso said, that we start as children, we play, and then we forget.
Why do we forget?
Every child is an artist, said Picasso. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. It was here in the Whitechapel Gallery in the late 60s that 7-year-old Sonia wandered in and first discovered art.
Children on the estate that I lived on, we had such independent lives from our parents. We'd get called in at 10 o'clock at night. Mums from various balconies would shout, it's time to come in now. So we would be out and about. And I can't remember how I first went to the Whitechapel Art Gallery, but it was within, walking reach of where we lived. And I used to just go and walk in there and just kind of think, oh, this is interesting. There was always something to see and to know.
I was really interested in that your instinct for drawing came very early on.
When you're learning to write letters, you do your A's and your B's, and there's a particular way of scripting. And I love doing this so much. I used to drive my mum crazy because I used to write and draw on everything. So there was always lots of writing on wallpaper or sometimes on her linen. I just enjoyed that activity of making a mark.
Every surface is a workable surface in my mum's eyes. I mean, when I was younger, she would let me draw on the walls. She would literally she's like, yeah, go ahead. Got my friends involved. They all loved it, and she would just sit and watch because she was like fascinated with what, if you let a child be who they want to be, what would they do with that?
But Sonia's not just an obsessive artist, she's also an obsessive archivist. She's accumulated a vast collection of objects and materials. Her curiosity knows no bounds. For over 20 years, she's been hoarding items relating to black British women in the music industry. She's named it the Devotional Collection, and it's the inspiration behind her Venice Biennale pavilion.
Well out of control at the moment. It would probably take me about a year of just working on it to get it back into some a semblance of control, if I don't gather anything else in the meantime, because I am addicted.
Yeah, there's just a lot of crap in the house.
You can't say that. She can't go into a record store without buying 15 records.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also interesting because they become artworks in our house.
Diamonds are forever.
She is a hoarder, but she has a good reason to be a hoarder.
Yeah, and every item has meaning to it that may be unknown to the rest of the family, but my mum knows. My mum knows this is useful. And I trust it. I trust it. Majority of the time.
So, you know those pictures you have on milk cartons, have you seen this? You might just have to have one of Sonia and then put it in charity shops and saying, if you see this woman, please ring this number and please do not let her buy any items of the following. And that will be a long list.
In Venice, Sonia will devote an entire room of her pavilion to items she's collected over the past 6 months, mostly found in this Brixton charity shop.
I come in here about once a week, sometimes every day, and sometimes it's like, yeah, keep walking, and then other times I cannot help myself. See this? The Cookie Crew. I've got to have. And then, of course, Mel and Kim. Just this visit has, you know, provided dividends.
Hi, how are you? I'd like to show you things that maybe you could have for your exhibition. This is my favorite poster of Tanita in concert.
There is some stuff that's been donated by a particular fan of Tanita's, and this is a real deep fan.
What I love about Sonia is she's doing a completely alternate history of music, isn't she, really? Which has always been dominated by the male gaze. I think it's a very joyful gaze she has. It's about music that's touched us all, and I feel very shocked and happy to be part of that.
Some people think little girls should be seen and not heard, but I think, oh, bondage! Up yours! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Sonia's interest in the visibility of black women began back in 1980. Her drawing talent won her a place at Starbridge College of Art in the West Midlands. She was one of very few black students, but one day she spotted a poster for the first National Convention of Black Art, organised by a group of students called the Black Art Group.
A room of over 200 black artists, some at art schools, some professional. I'm just thinking, how did I not know this? The very, very young members of the Black Art Group who had organised it, and they were like teenagers. They'd organised this national conference at Wolverhampton Poly. And I met lots of people who then I became part of a network.
Is this where you met Claudette Johnson and Lubena?
Yeah, exactly where I met them.
40 years on, Sonia is meeting Claudette, a founding member of the Black Art Group and a big influence on Sonia's early work. They're here at Tate Britain, where their work is being displayed in the critically acclaimed exhibition, Life Between Islands.
I used to scour newspapers for images of black people. You know, it was the time of thinking about political struggle. And I think at the time I felt very identified with the figure in red, the more militant figure, because I felt things need to change now. Did you feel recognition when you looked at the work, those early works?
I felt not only recognition, I felt, oh my goodness, someone can do this.
One of Sonia's well-known early pieces was Missionary Position 2, a double portrait of Sonia that questioned her Christian upbringing.
Well, the thing is that my mum used to come a lot to exhibitions that I would have. She'd always sigh and say, could you just do something nice?
Yeah.
You know, you can clearly draw. Can't you just draw something? Couldn't you just draw some flowers or
landscape?
Or landscape? You know, I knew at the same time it was an aspect of trying to be protective, because if you raise your head above the parapet, you know, you're really going to get it.
Another young woman Sonia met 40 years ago was the artist Lubena Hamid. In 2017, Lubena made history as the first black woman to win the Turner Prize. This year, she has her own retrospective at Tate Modern. It was Lubena who first convinced Sonia that she should become an artist.
She said, send me your slides, and I kind of thought, no, she doesn't want to see. I wasn't convinced about my own work at that point. And then she kept sending me, literally, postcards saying, I thought you were going to send me your slides. And then the last one was, send me your slides in really big letters. And I sent her my slides, and she organised the very first exhibition that I was in, which was at the Africa Centre, immediately after leaving college, which is pretty much unheard of.
She was making work about her childhood, about her mother, about her mother's friends, about conversations she was eavesdropping on, about food. It was big, it was poster-sized, it was a big window into that world. Black audiences see their lives played out, and no one had ever done that.
I started the drawing, I was thinking about when I was a child. I was always sort of tagging onto my mum's skirt, you know, sort of hiding behind her, listening to all these conversations, you know, getting all the juicy bits on who did what when. And I think the reasons why I started to do domestic scenes was because that's where I felt our whole creativity was.
I really wanted to find a way to speak about the experience of kind of growing up within a Caribbean household. There was always wallpaper.
There was always wallpaper?
There was always wallpaper. Well, if I draw I've got the figure, maybe if I can just put a wallpaper design in the background, that will do the job of filling in the background. And it worked.
The fact that pattern plays such a huge role, I feel, is I feel like there's almost something subversive there, as if those patterns reveal to us as viewers a way to move into the work, but also to obscure perhaps an easy reading. The more you look, the more you see.
I'm looking at this, and of course this is the Caribbean, it's also the past, it's also colonialism. India here and Australia, you know, it's a sort of...
It's the empire, and a child of the empire.
And that's you, of course.
That's me, yeah.
Yeah. And what have you called this?
Lay back, keep quiet, and think of what made Britain so great. Yeah. There is a folding in of both a kind of William Morris type wallpaper, with also in these kind of crucifixes. This is taken from wallpaper that was made to commemorate Queen Victoria's 50th anniversary over the Empire. So I'm drawing directly from wallpaper in this work.
In 1985, the Thin Black Line exhibition opened at the ICA Gallery in London. Curated by Lubaina Hamid, it brought together 11 emerging female artists, including Sonia, who exhibited a powerful new work.